السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. جريد 6 عاملين ايه؟ يا رب تكونوا كلكم بخير. النهاردة ان شاء الله هنبدأ مع بعض في آخر كونسبت في المنهج، كونسبت 2.2 واللي بعنوان heat transfer. وأخيرا وصلنا لنهاية المنهج. خلينا نبدأ ونقول بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم زي ما احنا متعودين. طيب أول حاجة هنا في الكونسبت ده جايب لي صورة lizard with colorful scales. طيب الليزرد دي as we can see here it lives in the desert which has a hot climate. طيب هنا we have hot climate, so of course rocks are hot. طيب when the lizard stands on the rock, what will happen? We have here lizard which its body is cold while the rocks are hot. So the heat transfers from the hot object to the cooler object. Or the heat transfers from hot to cold, as we said before in the previous concept. So thermal energy transfers from rock, which is hot object, to lizard skin, which is cold object. طيب هنا بيعرض لي الموضوع in details أكتر. When the rock absorbs thermal energy that comes from the sun, molecules of the rock move faster. Now when matter gains thermal energy, molecules move faster because they have more kinetic energy. They have more thermal energy now, and the spaces will be more. Also, we said attraction force will be less. Okay? طيب after the rock absorbs thermal energy and molecules move faster, what will happen? When the lizard stands on the rock, the skin of lizard absorbs thermal energy that is released from the rock. Alright? So the molecules of the rock will move slower, while the molecules in the skin of lizard will move faster. Alright. طيب هنا did you remember when we said before that we classified materials into two types according to electricity or according to conduction of electricity? Some materials allow electricity to flow through while others don't allow. The same thing happens in case of heat or in case of thermal energy. Some materials allow heat to transfer through while others, we can say now that they don't allow heat to transfer through. So cooking pans, cooking pots, they are made from materials that allow heat or allow thermal energy to transfer through. So we can cook the food easily. طيب, what about the handles of cooking pot? Of course, they are made from other materials that we can say don't allow heat. Type. So we can classify materials according to their heat conductivity into two types. So again, we can classify materials into how many types? Two types. The first type here is heat conductors. Heat conductors. We can say heat conductors, which means they are materials that allow thermal energy to transfer. So be focused in the exam, especially in scientific term question. He asks you about materials that allow thermal energy or allow electrical energy. Because if he asks you about allow thermal energy, it means heat conductors. If he asked you about materials that allow electric energy, it will be electric conductors. So you have to be focused on the key words. Okay, so we have here two keywords, allow and thermal energy. طيب. What about examples? All metals are heat conductors, such as iron, copper, and aluminium. What about the second type? They are known as heat insulators. Heat insulators. So here, we don't say they are materials that don't allow heat transfer. Why we cannot say don't allow? I'm going to explain it after a few moments. But what is the key word of insulators? Here, they are materials that resist or slow down the heat transfer. So heat insulators, they are materials that resist or slow down the heat transfer, like wood, glass, plastic, and air. What about this device? It's electric iron. Great job. We use it to make the clothes straight. So from the lower side, it's made from iron, which is heat conductor. It allows thermal energy or allows heat to transfer through. All right, that's great. While the handle, it's made from plastic, which is thermal insulator that resist or slow down heat to transfer through. That's why we can use it without feeling the hotness of the electric current, or that's why we use it safely, all right, without burning. So the lower side of the electric iron made from iron, while the handle is made from plastic. طيب تعالوا بقى نقول أو نفسر ليه ما قلناش إن الهيت insulators don't allow materials don't allow زي electric insulators كده. ليه؟ قال لي لأن thermal insulators cannot prevent the transfer of heat completely, but they slow down the heat transfer through them. يعني thermal insulators مش بيمنعوا transfer of heat completely أو totally. بالعكس, it happens. We cannot prevent the transfer of the heat. Heat كده كده will transfer through any material. But in case of heat insulators, we can say they slow down the heat transfer. They resist the heat transfer. So that the keyword here is different, which is slow down or resist. So for example, if you pour hot water into a metal bowl and a plastic bowl, you will notice that. So if you try to touch the metallic bowl, it will be hot, while the plastic bowl, it will be warm, which means the plastic not doesn't allow heat to transfer through. No, it just slow down or resist. All right? All right, that's great. So what are properties of heat? We have three important or three essential properties of heat. Number one, of course, heat is an essential component of life on Earth. Without the heat, we cannot survive. And as we said before many times, that heat flows from a hotter object to a cooler object. It always happens. And heat cannot be lost, but it's only transferred. We cannot lose heat. Lose heat. Heat cannot be lost, but it's only transferred. All right. What about here this door knob? This door knob, it's made from metal. So when we touch it, we feel it's cold, okay? So why we feel that? If you touch a metal doorknob, you may feel that it's cooler than the wooden door it's on. Why? Give a reason. Because your body always generates thermal energy. Again, because your body always generates thermal energy, where thermal energy transfers fast from your hand to the metallic doorknob, which is a thermal conductor. All right? So when I ask you, give a reason why if you touch a metallic doorknob, you feel that it's cooler than the wooden door. Because your body always generates thermal energy, where the thermal energy or heat transfers fast from your hand to the metallic doorknob, which is a thermal conductor. While thermal energy transfers slowly from your hand to the wooden door, which is a thermal insulator. Yeah, exactly. It's a thermal cup that we used in the school or at work to keep the drink we can say hot or warm most of the time. Also, our parents used that in the past, which is called thermos. It's larger than the thermal cup, and also it's used to keep the temperature of drinks inside it, as thermos is made of heat insulating materials. So how can this thermal cup or thermos keep the temperature of drinks for a long time? Because it's made from insulating materials, made from heat insulating materials. So here we have cooking pots or cooking pans that we use for cooking food. So, of course, for the body of the cooking pot, we have to use a metal, we have to use aluminium, we have to use copper, something which is thermal conductor to allow heat transfer through it to cook the food easily. Right. What about the handle of the cooking pan? It's made from thermal insulators, maybe wood, maybe plastic, to protect us from burning. So now we can say that there are two factors that affect handles of cooking pots. What are those two factors? The first factor is type of material. The material of handle of cooking pot. Is it made from plastic or wood? And which one is better? Right. What about the second factor? The length of handle. Is it short or long? And which one is better also? So let's explain together. Here, the wooden handle warms up faster than the plastic handle. So if we have two cooking pans, one of them, the handle is made from wood, while another is made from plastic. Scientists noticed that or observed that the handle, the wooden handle, warms up faster than the plastic handle. So what do you think, grade 6? Which one is better to be used? Of course, plastic handle. Great job. So plastic handle is better than wooden handle. Again and again and again. Plastic handle is better than wooden handle. So what about here? We have two areas, A and B. What do you think? Which area will be warmer faster than another? Will be warm faster than another? Great job. Of course, area A will be warm faster than area B. So the handle is warmer closer to the pan A, and it's cooler as we go far away from the pan B, because the heat travels very slowly along the handle that is made of thermal insulating material, which means that the longest handle is better than the shortest one. When we made handle of cooking pan, we have to make it long a little bit to give the heat a chance to travel very slowly along the handle. So plastic handle is better than the wooden handle, and the longest handle is better than the shortest handle. So we can say here that thermal insulation of the handle increases as the length of the handle increases also. How does matter become warmer? We said before that if we have two different objects in temperatures, one of them, as we can see here, hot, and another one is cold. When they touch each other, when they are in a direct contact, the heat transfers, of course, from the hot object to the cold object. All of that we know before. But until what? When the heat transfers from hot object to the cold object until becomes warm, until both of them become warm, or we can say until they reach to the same temperature. This case called thermal equilibrium. So again, from the beginning, be focused. We have here two objects, A and B. One of them is hot, another one is cold. They are in a direct contact. They touch each other. So of course, heat transfers from the hot object to the cold object until they became warm, until they reach to the same temperature. When they reach to the same temperature, this is means thermal equilibrium. So repeat after me. Thermal equilibrium. Thermal equilibrium. Equilibrium, by the way, it means balance. We have here thermal balance. Both of them become warm. Type. What about the measuring unit of heat? It's called calorie. Remember, because it comes a lot in the exams, measuring unit of heat is called calorie. في شتات الوزارة سؤال بيكرر نفسه بس مش measuring unit of heat، لا يقول لي measuring unit of temperature. measuring unit of temperature is degree Celsius. degree بكتبها فوق كده small circle، حاجة كده زي السكون، و C capital letter. تمام؟ يبقى دايما افتكروا measuring unit of heat تبقى calorie. measuring unit of temperature it will be degree Celsius. طب here, if you hit a piece of metal several times by a hammer, the piece of metal becomes warm due to a friction force. طيب نيجي هنا بقى للجزء ده، هي not a problem أو not a calculation بس بتيجي كتير في الامتحانات. دلوقتي احنا قلنا if we have two objects, they are different in temperatures. So one of them here is hot. It has 60 degrees Celsius. And another one is cold water, which has a temperature equals 10 degrees Celsius. After that, we mixed hot water with cold water. Type. I want to know now what is the average temperature of water. So I'm going to calculate that. Can I calculate it? Yes, of course. We are going to add two numbers together and the result we have to divide into 2. So 60 plus 10 divided 2 equal 35 degrees Celsius. So again, 60 plus 10 divided 2 equal 35 degrees Celsius. All right, that's great. Type. I want to measure the temperature again, but by another way. So I'm going to use a thermometer, as we can see here. By the way, it's a device that we use it all of the time to measure the temperature. We can read the temperature or the final temperature by thermometer, which equals 33 degrees Celsius. الله، طب هما ليه طلعوا مختلفين؟ ليه لما عملنا calculation طلعت 35 while when we measure it by using thermometer طلعت equal 33 degrees Celsius؟ ليه مش equal؟ There is a difference here. طيب ليه؟ ده سؤال مهم جدا بيجي على هيئة give reason. The final temperature is less than their average temperature because some of thermal energy transfers to the air or to the container. Again, because some of thermal energy transfers, في جزء من thermal energy transfers to the air or to the container. طب ساعات بيجي لي السؤال ده على هيئة تشوز في الامتحانات اللي بنحلها. كل الحكاية انه هتلاقيه جايب لك two temperatures الهوت والكولد، هتعمل الكالكوليشن بتاعتك عادي جدا، بنعمل add وبعدين نعمل divide 2. ايه اللي هيحصل؟ هيطلع لي النمبر بتاع الكالكوليشن. لو مش موجود عندي في التشويسز بختار اقرب نمبر ليه، زي ما انا عندي هنا 35 وهنا 33. يبقى هنا هو بيكلمني عن الافريج والفاينل temperature. طيب what can you see here? Popcorn. Great job. So here we have 100 grams of popcorn grains and they have small amount of water. So again, we have 100 grams of popcorn grains, but they are wet or moist because they contain water. When they are cooked, they become 97 grams only. Why? There is a difference in the mass. Before cooking, not equal after cooking. The loss of mass is due to the evaporation of water. So again, the loss in mass is due to the evaporation of water. طيب, who can tell me here, does the mass change when the ice melt? Ice, which is solid material, and it changed into liquid material. Does the mass change when the ice melt? No, because the mass of the ice cubes before heating equals the mass of water after heating. This is called law of mass conservation. So please repeat after me. Law of mass conservation. Conservation. Law of mass conservation. Or sometimes we can say it as law of conservation of mass. So law of conservation of mass, it means the mass of a material doesn't change when this material changes from one state into another. So the mass of ice cubes doesn't change when it melts into water. And the mass of water doesn't change when it melts into water vapor or steam. It is still as it is without any changing. All right, it's time for saying how can the heat transfer from one object into another. So we have three different methods to transfer the heat. The first one is conduction. Conduction. The second one is convection. Convection. The third one here is radiation. Radiation. So how many methods? Three. Conduction, convection, and radiation. So as we can see here, we have three different ways of heat transfer in only one picture. And let's explain together how does it happen. When you have a fever and your temperature is high, you put cooling pads to transfer the heat from your body to the cooling pads, from the hot object to the cold object, by direct contact. By what? Direct contact. So conduction here, it means heat transfers by conduction when two objects with different temperatures touch each other. Conduction is a heat transfer when two objects with different temperatures touch each other, when they are in a direct contact. So we can say that heat transfers by conduction in solids only. In solids only, because remember, and the trick, واحدة من التريكس بتاعت ميس نورهان عشان ما تلخبطش في الامتحان، لأن كلمة conduction قريبة جدا من كلمة convection. عندي conduction هنا فيها D letter and solid فيها D letter also. So solid only conduction. Solid conduction. Solid conduction. What about here? If I wanna drink a hot cup of tea, so we have to boil some amount of water. So when we boil it, how can the heat transfer through water? By convection. By what? Convection. But firstly, you have to know that hot water at the bottom of the pot moves up, while cold water at the surface of the pot moves down. So again, hot water at the bottom of the pot, hot water at the bottom of the pot moves up, while cold water moves down, as we can say here. So the heat transfers through liquids or gases by convection. So remember, convection is heat transfers due to the movement of a liquid or gas. So the first way, it was conduction through solids only. They must be in direct contact. The second way here is convection, and it happens through liquids or gases. What about here? In winter season, when we feel cold, like currently, when your hand gets close to a fire, you feel warm. But why? How can the heat transfers from the fire to your hands? Because the air between the fire and your hand allows thermal energy to transfer to your hands. Here, the heat transfer by a way called radiation. By a way called what? Radiation. Also, there is a large distance between the sun and the earth in the space. Although we can feel the heat of the sun. How does it happen? By radiation. Because heat or thermal energy of the sun transfers through the space to the earth by way known as radiation. So remember, radiation is heat transfers through gases or space. Gases or space. So how many methods? Three. Conduction, solids only. Convection, liquids or gases. Radiation, gases or space. طيب here, the speed of the heat transfer between object increases. إمتى الهيت ترانسفير تحصل بسرعة جدا أو تزيد؟ إمتى؟ لو أنا عندي two objects the difference in temperatures between them increases. في اختلاف كبير جدا في temperatures ما بين ال two objects، زي ما نقول في gap في temperatures ما بينهم. لو ال surface area of objects increases، لو أنا عندي container larger than another، واحد large والتاني small، time of contact between objects increases. لو two objects دول they are in a direct contact for a long period of time. طيب here and we have scientists who are known as meteorologists. So repeat again, meteorologists. Who are meteorologists? They are scientists who study weather. Who study what? Weather. And they must understand convection and radiation. And it comes a lot in the exam as give reason. Why? Meteorologists must understand convection and radiation to help them predict the weather. By the way, also engineers must understand conduction, convection, and radiation to design new products such as tools of cooking and design sidewalks that are cooler and shadier, which means contain shadow. Did you remember when we studied together in grade 4 that when I hold any object upward, so now this object has energy stored inside it. This energy known as potential energy. So here this rabbit, when it becomes at the top of the slide, it has potential energy. It has what? Potential energy. When it moves down, potential energy changes into kinetic energy. So the keyword of potential energy is stored in, while the keyword of kinetic energy is move. So the energy can change from one form into another. Also here, some of kinetic energy changes into thermal energy due to the friction between marble here and the track and decreases the speed of the marble. Also, it happens with cars. Some of kinetic energy, it changes into thermal energy. It happens due to the friction between the road and the wheel of the car. And of course, this friction decreases the speed of the car. So also you have to know if you use a larger marble, it will move downward faster because we said before, more mass, more kinetic energy, more speed. Type. People need different materials in different purposes. We have here the last topic in this concept, which is talking about different materials. Each material has its own purpose. For example, when we make clothes, scientists use soft materials or smooth materials, while when we make bicycle or a car, engineers cannot use clothes. They must use hard materials. So scientists make smart clothes, smart clothes from smart materials. The first property of these smart clothes that they light up in the dark. Light up in the dark. The second property, they keep themselves clean all of the time. The third one here, all right, no third one. Yeah, the third one here is control the body temperature. So scientists make smart clothes from smart materials. Those smart clothes can keep themselves clean, light up in the dark, and control body temperature. And control body temperature. What else? We have here also another material. So we have to know how are new materials created. Scientists make new materials by mixing different materials together, such as steel. Steel, it's strong and it lasts for a long time, and it's made from iron and other elements. It comes out in the questions. Steel made from iron and other elements. What else? What about this material? It's called concrete. Concrete. So again, concrete. Concrete, it's a mixture of rock, sand, and water. Rock, sand, water. Rock, sand, water. And it's in a liquid state. After drying, it becomes hard. And it's used as the base of building and bridges because it's very strong. All right, so you have to know that plastic, it's a new material that made by humans. And of course, it's solid, tough, solid material, and it doesn't be burned easily. This material is tough, solid material made from petroleum. Made from what? Petroleum, which is liquid and burns easily. So plastic is made by chemical change of some compounds of petroleum. Petroleum is liquid, can be burned easily. When we make some chemical changes into its properties, we can make a new material which is called plastic. It's tough, solid material and doesn't be burned easily. And of course, we can create something which is called shrink wrap when we add some heat to plastic to make it shrink to cover water bottles or to cover soda bottles, as you know. The final information here about new materials is the glass. Did you remember that we can make different glasswares of the glass by heating it at very high temperatures? Yeah, great job. It's called glass blowing. So, glass is a mixture of sand, limestone, and soda. Glass, it's made from 3 different materials: sand, limestone, and soda. Soda here is a chemical substance which is called sodium carbonate. So when we mix all of these materials together in hot furnace or in hot oven, so it melts and it changes into glass. Then the glass becomes hard when it cools. Thank you for watching and listening. شكرا ان انتوا كملتوا الفيديو للآخر، وأخيرا خلصنا المنهج سوا يا جريد 6. أشوفكم على خير إن شاء الله. مع السلامة.